Hello, how are you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with crank.com and with that metalstation.com. And today I'm getting a chat with French guitarist and composer Louis Nas about his solo project, Ominous Conclusions, and the latest release, The Outsiders, which came out August 20th, which is no coincidence at all. HP Lovecraft's birthday as well. So, Louis, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, man. I'm so thrilled to be here. And well, it's an honor to meet you, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
the album's an absolute ripper of an album. One I've just got lost in. I really love the prog feels, but also love the HP Lovecraft inspired stuff there. When did you first get into HP Lovecraft?
Well, first, thank you for this. I mean, it means a lot. And actually, I don't really remember, but I had a friend I haven't seen for a while actually, and he is among other things, he's an historian and a writer, and I think it's him who introduced me to Lovecraft. I think I discovered Lovecraft with him. It was some years ago. I don't think 6 or 7 years ago, something like that. But I'm not sure how it started exactly. I don't remember.
Yeah, I kind of come across HP Lovecraft kind of about the same time. Like I had heard of his the old 80 dodgy movies that make like Reanimator and stuff like that. But it wasn't until about 5, 6 years ago that I went back and I actually audiobooks found it really good to listen to audiobooks. And I bought the entire HP
Yeah.
Lovecraft audiobook collection. It was really good sitting there late at night and getting lost in the stories of HP Lovecraft as well.
Yeah. I mean, it influenced so many things, and there are more and more things coming out of his works, like video games, paintings, and all kinds of stuff. And so you, I mean, I think everybody knows something about him somehow, but when you start reading it, I mean, you get it, instantly, like it's right in your face. Oh my god, I understand how it happened.
Yeah, and the one thing I like about your music and being that there's no lyrics through your albums, you're able to portray the stories and the emotions that go with these stories all through sonically and through music as well. Tell us about your process with that.
um well, actually, so for this one, The Outsider, I uh, I, I mean, the first time I read this tale, uh, I I was so hooked. I knew I wanted to do something about it. So I've just read it a bunch of times. I mean, I do that when I write about something specific like this. Otherwise, sometimes I compose about dreams I had, or and well, basically, before even writing anything, music wise, before even writing a riff or a single note, I just take notes, on a like the text edit on my laptop, and I just write notes, impressions and feelings, and how I could go from here to there, just like breaking down the story, and then I try and put music on this.
Yeah, well, I like how it's the three parts, and there's a really good part that I watched there, the first part, Unalone, and I have listened to this story before, and I went back and checked it out again after listening to your EP with it, and you've done a really
That's
good little
true.
video for the first part over on YouTube as well, if people want to check. But the first part alone, really sets it up with the main protagonist kind of sitting there alone in his castle. He's kind of isolated and wanting some more of the outside world, and to get up at the high points and to reach out and try and get out of the forest to not be alone. And it does really set it up with that first track there.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying so. I mean, this is really great. And you, yeah, as you said just before, I write exclusively instrumental music, so I'm trying to tell a story every time, but you never know how what people will picture in their own head, And yeah, I'm glad that mostly when like you said, when people read the tale and they listen to the music, it makes sense to them, and that's great. So thank you for saying so, man. It's really,
Yeah, well, it's
it's
one of
wonderful.
those prog metal albums. You can listen to it. Like I listened to it like when it first come across the other day. I had it through Curtis. I chucked it on and give it a listen, listened to it a few times, and then I went over it and I listened to that audio book again, and I'm like, yeah, now I get it. It kind of clicked into place, and then I watched you setting it up and talking about it as well, and I'm like, it does. And then with this, tell us a little bit about the second track there, as he's kind of, escaping from this, and tell us a little bit about that part.
Yeah, so actually about that part, I was about to release. I've planned to release a video on YouTube today, which is a breakdown, a video breakdown of part two, where I listen to the track and I comment on it and explain everything. So that it's really great you asked me about that now. I've released one about the first part alone a few days ago, and today is the one about part two. So here it is. First, there's when it opens, there's this part with the flutes and everything, and this I don't know how technical I should be right now about that. I'm using mainly here a descending melodies in kind of a fugue counterpoint, and it's mainly chromatic and diminished harmonies. Not sure if I
No, no, keep
gotta
this is
develop
good.
that too much, because I don't want to bore people to death.
No, this is
But
good.
yes, thank you. So I use this because with that kind of harmony, you can't resolve back to a root, and I wanted to use woodwinds, so here flutes, to have this really peculiar texture that somehow implies it's easy to use that texture to drive some anxious and ominous feelings and strangeness and suspension. And I use these harmonies to do that as well. So we have this sensation of suspension, like this character scaling that tower from inside, and you have this sensation of void, and there are the guitar with a lot of delay that adds echoes in this tower, like the steps when he climbs, and maybe some falling rocks and the bats that circle around. And I really wanted to recreate that feeling and keep this anxiousness as he ascends.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was listening to this story in this EP and I was getting right into it. I don't know if this story somehow you can draw comparisons to the sense of isolation that a lot of us have felt the last couple of years. I can definitely draw comparisons from the last couple of years. We're all kind of sitting alone in our castles at the moment, looking out the outside bloody world, going, when is this going to be over with? You know what I mean? We're all going to get outside. We're all going to finally get out of our castles and be amongst people, and we're going to be so anxious. It's like, what are they saying? I can't understand what these humans are saying anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, it wasn't my case, but I can see how it's really relevant at the moment. But I didn't plan on it. It was actually an idea I already had before, and
Yeah.
I started to write this really before the pandemic, before it all happened, and it just makes sense that it's released right now. But I really didn't count on
I know,
this.
but like that
It
that comes to the beauty of HP Lovecraft stories as well. Say what you like about him as a person, but as a
yeah.
storyteller, geez, he could write some stories, and you can draw comparisons from a lot of his stories into life now. Like this was written how long ago, this story, and we're drawing comparisons from it to something that's happening now.
Mm. Yeah, sorry. There's just been a slight I don't know, a slight audio
Delays.
artifact. I didn't get the end of your sentence. Sorry.
Yeah, it's funny how HP Lovecraft, we can draw comparisons from his stories, even though they were written so long ago, into something that's happening now.
Yes, yes, yeah. I mean, I think you can always do that. well, that relates to unfortunate events happening right now, of course, but somehow we really, yeah, with any good book or any good piece of art, you can relate it indefinitely through time, I think. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Lovecraft, yeah, definitely. I mean, there are some scientific facts that he relates to that, you know, refers to his life or the period he lived in. But there are so many things you can feel and apply to the world today, and it's about mainly the beyond or other plans of the universe or many other things you can still picture in your head. I mean, it's about dreaming, really.
Yeah, and
So it always applies.
I want to know about part 3. Tell us a little bit about part 3, A Ghoulish Revelation.
So part 3, this is the most the busiest part of all 3, because it's if you know The Outsider, it goes from when he steps out of that tower and into the graveyard and then into the forest and up till the end of the story. And that's when, as the title suggests, a ghoulish revelation. That's when he comes confronted by his true self with the mirror. And there are many things going on in this part, because there are many there are many things adding up to that moment when he's and it just builds up the tensions. The tension builds up, whether it's in the original story or the track. I really wanted to stay close to that until that moment, and then there's this outro, which is dark, and we are back on the first theme of part 1, because it's back to loneliness, and then to the conclusion that he accepts what he is, and he lives the way he's supposed to live, so to speak.
Yeah, isolated in his little castle, reading his books in
Yeah.
the forest. So Louis, I want to ask, I'm curious, how did you first get into guitar? Tell us about when and kind of how your journey started. I'm keen.
So this is actually, I've had 2 starts with guitar, because I started as a teenager. Basically, I was playing piano since I was a young boy, and I did that for quite a long time, and I got into metal as a teenager with my cousins, and I loved that. So I started to learn guitar when I was 15, but back then I still don't know what it was, but I had kind of a neurological problem. I don't know, but my hands were basically shaking all the time. And so I really had a hard time, improving. And I was working twice as hard for half the results. And at some point when I finally got cured, I was like 19 or 20. I started all over again, but when I say all over again, it's all over again. I went with this really great teacher who understood what I wanted, and he really drove me hard. And I started all over. I like how to hold a pick. I started with that. I had already practiced for 5 years, and I just learned everything back again. So I had 2 starts, actually.
That would have been a really defining, I suppose, experience, a musical experience for you, and also a life experience as well, to overcome not only that, but to restart from scratch again and take it all in. Do you think it helped inspire you and challenge you even more after that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think mainly at first I didn't realize I was really going all over again, starting from scratch. But after a while, when I was practicing for hours, just playing alternate picking on 3 notes on the neck, just holding the pick right and everything, this feels like when I just started, and I realized, yeah, that's what I'm doing actually, and I just didn't want to give up, so
Yeah.
I just worked more.
Do you think that kind of like going through kind of that has kind of made you a little more determined in doing the solo
Yeah,
project as well? Because it would take a lot of work and time to do these projects.
yeah, of course. Mainly the thing is, I had I used to be an actor as well, and in this area, as well as in music, I found it really hard to find people to work with.
Yep.
People you could trust, people that work really, as dedicated and passionate as you. It's really hard to find the right people to work with. I think it's the hardest part of being an artist, and that's strange because we're all supposed to be driven by the same passion. But anyway, and that's why at some point I just decided I've been writing for a while. I've always been drawn to composing, and so I studied counterpoint, harmony, and everything. And I wanted to create something, but I was tired. You know, I was tired about waiting for the right people to do this. So I decided to go solo because I realized quite late, but I eventually realized that nowadays you can do
Yeah.
that. You can do something on your own and be self-produced. So I just went for it.
Yeah, and you have gone for it. That's for sure. You had the prequel in 2019, which is
Yeah.
another the great listen as well. And you had the Christmas Macabre there, which is a little bit of a reinterpretation of the Dance Macabre there. It was do you think the last couple of years, as crap as it's been with everything else happening, do you think it's kind of got you inspired to kind of work as well? Like, I'm at home here, we're all kind of doing this. Let's just lay down this music that I've wanted to do for a while.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, I was got a
I
little
didn't get
fast
this
too there.
one. No, yeah, no, it's okay. I'm French, so
Yeah,
sometimes
I get a
I
little eager with my Aussie accent. Do you think the
thank
last
you.
couple of years being with everything that's happened and the
Yes.
lockdowns around the world, do you think it's inspired you to kind of use your time wisely with these releasing of these albums?
Um. Actually, I wasn't really, disturbed by what happened personally. I saw all this, and I'm really sorry for all the people who suffered about that, one way or another. But I'm actually quite lucky, I'd say, because really it hasn't affected me. I've always been kind of a misanthropist somehow, and I like working alone. I set up my own goals and everything. So no, it really didn't change anything for me.
Yeah, it's funny with introverts like us, it didn't change a lot. I kept saying that as well.
No,
It didn't change much for me at all. I was still at home doing the same thing that I'm doing today.
that's great, man.
Yeah, Louis, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. I'm going to let you get about the rest of your evening. Do you have any last words, shout outs, or thank yous you'd like to add in there before we sign out?
Well, I just want to thank you for everything. It's really great, and I had quite a lot of fun talking to you. Thank you for what you said about the music and the clip and everything. Really, it means a lot, and I was really stoked to be here. Thank you.
Louis, I'll put the links in there. Everyone head over, grab the album, the latest album, The Outsider. You can grab the other one, Prequel. You can grab that Christmas Macabre. Go grab a heap of music from Ominous Conclusions. Put it in your stereo and turn it up really loud. Louis, thanks very much for joining me, mate.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
G'day. Before we get stuck into this great interview, if you all could hit the like and subscribe button, that would be bloody awesome, and it'd mean you all keep up to date with all the great interviews brought to you by myself, crank.com, and thatmetalstation.com, the only station with more metal than your Mars kettle. Cheers, guys.